Hello, we're talking about our favorite movies. Brandon, what kind of movies do you like the most?
Personally, I really like their own films since they put you a lot in the story. The protagonist puts yourself in the shoes of the characters that um, that is sometimes very special. That for me, every good film has to have. And you, Roman?
I really like cartoon movies, funny movies, romance movies, and some action and superheroes, and horror movies only if I see them with more people around me, because they make me feel scared if I'm alone. What about you, Fatima?
And in my case, my favorite kind of movies are of science fiction and romance. Despite of this, I watch all kind of movies. What about you, Alexa?
My favorite movies are science fiction and cartoon since they entertain me a lot. And what about you, Homer?
Uh, First, so I am, but I prefer movies like cartoon, as kind of Tim Burton, for example, Caroline, Frankie, Skeleton, etc. Because I think it's very the this universe.
What are your favorite movies ever, Fatima?
Mm, Talking about my favorite movies, it's difficult to say a short list about this because I love a lot of movies. But if you ask me, I will say that my favorite movies are the entire Harry Potter saga, 10 Things I Hate About You, Spirit Away, and Parasite. And what about you, Alexa?
My favorite movies are Corpse Breed, Jack's Strange World, and The Interview with the Vampire.
What can you tell me about it, Omar?
For me, my favorite movies ever are, like I said before, Coraline, Frank another kind of movies, maybe Real Steel, The Fall of White House, uh, Pacific Rim, etc. And how would you, Patrick?
My favorite movies currently relate to drama are The Green Mile and Untouchable Friends. They are two very good films which are entertaining at all times, and tell many people have also told me that it provokes a mix of emotion. And what about you, Ramon?
Let me think about it. Okay, I got it. I tried to say a short list because I have a lot of movies that I love, but I think that my favorites of all time are Pitch Perfect, The Barnes Trap, Birds of Prey, Hocus Pocus, and Madagascar.
Uh, why are they your favorite ones, Roman?
They are my favorite because they remind me a lot when I was little. I watched them with my family or on television before sleeping, and because in the case of Birds of Prey, Harley Quinn is my favorite villain. And what about you, Brandon?
Because these films leave a great lesson in life. Uh, they are films that keep you entertaining from beginning to end. For example, The Green Miles is a film that lasts more than 3 hours. You don't get bored. Besides, the stories in both films aren't they are forced or have some kind of feeling. But I think that uh, I like the most about bots is that they show you that life takes many turns and you have to learn to live uh, all the moments since they are part of hit. What about you, Omar?
Uh, in the case, because they have many interesting reflections in stories worthy of movies like that, and so because I it remembered me when I was a child, so I think that's it's all. And for you, Fatima,
For me, it's because all of these have good things, since my perspective, from history to animation or photography. For example, the most popular movie and the most acclaimed among there is clearly Parasite, isn't it? It is because it's the first foreign film to receive an Oscar for Best Movie at the 2020 awards. On the other hand, Spirited Away also received an Oscar in 2003 for Best Animation Film. In short, they have many things to applaud for me. And you, Alexa?
I really like these movies because I think they have some stranger characters, and I really like the cinematography of the movies. And about the last, I think that is a pretty interesting story because the main character tells how everything is happening.
Okay. Who direct and produce those movies? Fatima?
Between the movies that I mentioned, we have people like directors like Bong Joon-ho, Hayao Miyazaki, Gil Juncker, David Yates, Alfonso Cuarón, and others. But these are the most popular. What about you, Ramon?
In the case of The Parent Trap, its director was Nancy Meyer, and it's produced by Disney. Pitch Perfect were directed by three different directors, respectively, for each edition of this, and were Jason Moore for the first edition, for the second was Elizabeth Banks, and for the third, Trish C., and it's produced by Universal Studios. Hocus Pocus was directed by Kenny Ortega and also produced by Disney. Birds of Prey by Katy Jen, and finally Madagascar was directed by Tom McGrath and Eric Darnell. What about your movies, Alexa?
Of the first two is Tim Burton, and the last Neil Jordan. And what about you, Mar?
Neither do I. Despite the fact Tim Burton is really a good director, I really like the movies of Guillermo del Toro, Sean Levy, and all the movies produced by Warner Brothers and DreamWorks. And that's it. What about you, Alexis?
In the case of the Green Mile, it was direct and produced by Frank Darabont, while The Untouchable Friends was produced and directed by Oliver Nakaich and Eric Toledano.
Have you followed their movies direction and production, Fatima?
In the case of the direction, between the movies that I mentioned, I follow some directors across other films that probably all people watched before, like Love in Time of Cholera, Night at the Museum, Roma, My Neighbor Totoro, among others. What about you, Brandon?
No, I really haven't followed the directors of any film, although if um, knew about other films by these directors, would have already seen things. And I should investigate a little more about him. I will. Uh, what about you, Omar?
No, as my classmate Fatima, neither do I. But maybe it has to be better do that in the future. Um, I think it's really interesting if you follow the movies or not. How about you, Roman?
I have not really followed his work from each director, but just the work of the productions like Disney, Universal, and DreamWorks. And you, Alexa?
Um, in the case of Tim Burton, yes, since I really like his work and his style, and I think that if you like the unique characters and the spooky and mysterious vibes, you should see these movies.
Uh, Alexis, why would you recommend these movies?
Because, as I really mentioned it, they are very entertaining films, but about uh, they are movies that show you how important life is and be happy with what you have. In the case of Untouchable Friends, he teach you that your friend for friendships there are in social class and that money doesn't warrant your happiness. And in the case of the Green Mile tells you not to judge people by their physique, since sometimes the people mm, who appear worse are taking these people, and the skins of things are what make me recommend this movie. What about you, Fatima?
I recommended these movies because I spend good times while I am watching this. These movies were watched by me maybe 100 times or more, and I could keep doing it. I have interesting and entertaining histories. You really ought to watch this. I want you to consider to seeing them one day. What about you, Jose?
Well, I will recommend them because, for example, in the case of The Parents Trap, it movie entertained me a lot, and it's an interesting story and has touches of comedy, sadness, and a bit of everything. Pitch Perfect has an incredible soundtrack. Its actors fits perfectly for their roles, and it's very funny for everything that happened in the story. Hocus Pocus tell a fictional story of all we lived with a comical twist, but at the same time, it gives you a bit of history, comedy, and suspense. Birds of Prey is a movie that has a bit of everything. It has a lot of action, that is the main thing, and it tells you the story of Harley Quinn from another point that we didn't know, with moments of sadness, laughter, and a lot of fun. And finally, Madagascar is a movie that, despite being animated, tells a very important message with the animals, and it's very funny all the adventures that the characters have. And you, Alexa, why do you recommend your movies?
I really recommend them because both are very interesting, mysterious, and very good movies.
What can you tell me about it, Omar?
Uh, I think that, as my classmate Alexa, the movies of Tim Burton and all kind of cartoons, etc. It has a big universe. Will if you watch their movies, you will see a lot of kinds that you have never seen like, ever. So if you watching the movie, you have to be ready to see something that you've never seen. And as I told sometime, it that is very interesting.